If you're a chronic people pleaser or a chronic masker, it could feel very difficult and even impossible to share what your boundaries are with another person. I think on one hand, it's a very objective struggle because if you haven't practiced stating a boundary, it's going to be difficult for you to do it, right? If you've never had to cook, it's going to be hard for you to cook. If you've never had to ride a bike, it's going to be hard for you to ride a bike. If you've never had to swim, it's going to be hard for you to swim. On the other hand, if you've never had people in your life be receptive to your boundaries, it makes it that much more difficult because even if you conquer those fears of communicating what your boundaries are, if that person doesn't respond well, it reinforces that fear because now you're not only inexperienced with communicating your boundaries, but the very few experiences that you do have in communicating your boundaries are negative. And so that creates a confirmation bias, right? You start to believe that every single time you communicate your boundaries, it's going to be negatively received. The other person's not going to understand. The collaboration and negotiation of what you can and can't do happens with safe people. If someone has proven to you they're unsafe, they no longer deserve to be a part of that decision-making process. And so with people like that, you go into your own head and decide, with this person and with this situation, what am I willing to do? What am I not willing to do? Once you've made those decisions, you go to the person. You don't even have the conversation about, this is my boundary. I'm not willing to do that. I don't like it when you speak to me like that. Just make whatever decisions you need to make based off of what they're showing you and what they're willing to give you, and that's it. And you tell them, hey, this is what I'm willing to do. A, B, C, D. Does any of that sound good to you? And if they try to argue with you and say, no, I want you to do E, F, G, don't even explain anything. You just bring them back to the list you gave them and you say, hey, A, B, C, or D. It makes it simple. It gives them a choice. They get to take it for what it is or leave it. And oftentimes when you frame that conversation in a way where you're focusing more on what you're able to do for someone and what you're willing to do for someone, it's a lot easier to navigate because I oftentimes feel like unsafe people tend to get triggered when you're telling them what you're unwilling to do and not able to do. That turns into an argument of, why are you unwilling to do this? Why are you not capable of doing this? And so when you don't even have that conversation and you just give them a list of what you're willing to do and what you're able to do, they oftentimes just choose from the list of options you gave them, and it's pretty easy. You move on. You get to respect your boundaries, and they unknowingly respect your boundaries as well. And it doesn't have to be this whole conversation or this whole exchange where you're doing emotional labor for the other person. I oftentimes find that those of us who struggle with setting boundaries and honoring our boundaries, we struggle a lot with a feeling of guilt, like we're inherently selfish if we are being mindful of ourselves, our capacity, our needs. And communicating our boundaries to other people in a way where we're saying what we're not willing to do and what we don't want. So a lot of negatives, right? No, I don't want this. I can't do that. That tends to exacerbate the guilt because it makes us feel broken, incapable, unwilling. And so when we focus more on what we're willing to do and those options all honor our boundaries, it makes us feel a lot more capable. And in moments where we actually do care about the person or situation, it feels a lot more aligned. And even if the other person ends up rejecting all your offers, you could at least walk away knowing that you tried and that you gave effort. And so in those moments, when you find yourself feeling guilty walking away, that's a moment for you to pause and ask yourself, did I try? Did I give them options? If you answered yes to all of that, that's a moment where you need to be okay with the fact that another person's frustration or discomfort is their own responsibility. You've already upheld your end of the deal by communicating what you're willing to do and how you're willing to do it. It's up to them to either accept your offers or reject your offers. But if they reject your offers, that's on them. You have to let them take responsibility over their decision. They're the ones choosing to not be helped. They're the ones choosing to still be struggling, suffering, whatever it is. And your job is to not take that discomfort on and sit with it. Your job is to let go of their discomfort and let them sit with it. I know that could be very difficult for a lot of recovering people pleasers because we're used to taking on other people's discomfort or pain and processing it for them and making sure that they don't have to do it for themselves. But you need to, at this point in your life, start learning that boundaries don't come at the cost of showing that you care. And showing that you care should not come at the cost of you. You are completely capable and allowed to show up in ways that don't devalue you and don't chip away at yourself. And as soon as someone is pressuring you to chip away at yourself or sacrifice aspects of yourself for their sake, red flag. These are people that you need to have boundaries with. And if this new way of showing that you care for people doesn't sit right with someone, you have to be okay with possibly losing this person. And if you do lose them, it is not your fault and it is not due to your incompetence or whether or not you care about them. If someone doesn't allow you to love them in a way that respects your boundaries, then this person's only willing to accept love when it comes at the cost of another person. And that isn't healthy. If someone's only able to perceive your love, your care through the detriment of you, that is not love. That is them associating your suffering to how much you care about them. And love should not be measured in the ways that you're willing to chip away at yourself for the sake of another person. That is not healthy. That is not love. That sort of love enables codependency, enables masking, people-pleasing, self-sacrifice, all of these things that we're trying to outgrow. So the next time you find yourself in a situation with a person that feels unsafe to you, and you find yourself needing to honor certain boundaries that may have been continually crossed, save yourself from the heartache and the headache of communicating your boundaries to this person and racking your brain as to how you could explain what your boundaries are in a way that they could possibly understand and possibly accept. Save your breath. You don't need to explain it to them. Just go to them and tell them what you're willing to do. Give them that list, stick to the list. They could either pick something from the list or not. But either way, you've held up your end of the deal. You honored yourself. You honored your boundaries, and be okay with that. That is enough. Let go of the guilt. And with that being said, make sure you guys take some time today to breathe, to regulate yourselves, and to enjoy yourselves. I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.